Okay, this is part 3 of our work lecture. So, occupational transitions. Sometimes circumstances or personal choice cause people to make a career change. So, retraining workers. Skills needed for a job change over time. Maybe technology is advanced or they need new responsibilities. If a person doesn't gain the new skills, they may lose the job or experience a career plateau. So, career plateauing is a situation that occurs when there is a lack of challenge in one's job or promotional opportunity in the organization, or when a person decides not to seek advancement. It's just a time where their job levels out and they don't advance anymore. So believing your career has plateaued may lead to less commitment, lower job satisfaction, and a higher chance of leaving. Retraining employees is a good response to job loss or plateau. Companies may pay for employees to go through training programs. They may offer tuition reimbursement. Retraining highlights the importance of lifelong learning. So why do companies invest the time and money to retrain their employees? What do they get out of it? Well, retraining workers helps them keep loyal workers. It makes sure that their workers have all the skills they need to continue in the job. And it helps companies keep up with innovation, helps them keep up with the rest of the workforce. Occupational insecurity. Changing economic conditions can force people out of jobs. So how many of you know someone who was laid off during the recession in the late 2000s, early 2010s? A lot of people were laid off. It was a scary time. Manufacturing and farming industries are getting hit the hardest. Feeling insecure about your job can create a great deal of stress. People who are worried about their jobs have poorer physical and psychological well-being. Whether or not their job is actually in danger, it's what they think that matters. Do they think their job is secure, or do they think that it's in danger? And that can create a lot of stress. Coping with unemployment. How you cope with the stress of unemployment or job uncertainty matters. So there's a couple different types. There's emotion-focused coping. Focusing on how stress makes you feel and working on changing your feelings is emotion-focused. Problem-focused coping is focusing on the problem itself and doing something about it. Emotion-focused coping tends to lead to more stress. It doesn't really work. When unemployment lasts, people suffer a number of negative effects, including a decline in their immune system and a decrease in their overall well-being. Age and gender. The effects of unemployment vary by age and gender. In the U.S., middle-aged men are more affected than older or younger men. They have greater financial responsibilities, they have a decreased likelihood of finding a new job, etc. Older women report more negative effects than younger women. Financial pressures are greater for single mothers, so they would feel more stress with unemployment. Higher education equals less stress. So people who are more educated have less stress when they're unemployed, probably because they get faster reemployment. It's easier for them to find a new job. Ethnicity. Unemployment rates are higher for ethnic minorities. The effects of unemployment experiences by more of these groups. There may be cultural differences in how people react to unemployment. So can you think of differences or any examples? So some cultures just may value work more, so they would feel more stress when they're unemployed than others. And it usually takes minority workers longer to find a new job. The length of the unemployment matters. At least a year, they perceive their mental health more negatively. Feel loss of control and less demand put on them. Some demand is important to maintaining good health. You need to feel some demand put on you, feel some need to be needed, to be useful. So what do? Consider the next career move and what you must do to achieve it. Acknowledge and react to change as soon as it is evident. Be cautious of stopgap employment. Don't just take a job because it's a job and stop focusing on finding a job that you actually want, something that would advance your career. And identify a realistic goal and list steps to achieve it. So there are ways to reduce the stress of unemployment. Our next topic is work and family. So dependent care. Let's talk about employed caregivers. Many mothers have to return to the workforce after having children, whether they want to or not. 2/3 of mothers with children under the age of 6 have to work, and some women struggle with this decision. Do you go to work or do you stay home with the kids? Motivation to return to work is usually financial or how attached the mother is to her job. Did she really like her work? Does she really want to go back to it? Many women worry that taking a break from work to take care of the children will interfere with their careers, and it does. It does interfere. They have that inability to advance if they're constantly leaving work to take care of their children. Even for short leaves, women in the U.S. are punished. But even in countries with more generous leave, long leaves still result in a negative effect to careers. Some workers don't just have children to care for, some have to care for their parents or maybe a partner who's disabled. If someone cannot afford quality care facility, he, or more likely she, has no choice but to quit to care for their family member that needs care. So the effects on workers. There are many negative effects of having a dependent, negative effects on work, higher levels of stress, problems coping. Families dealing with time pressures have more stress. As more men stay at home to care for children than they used to, their careers are suffering the same way women's traditionally have. Negative effects can be lessened when partners provide good support to the partner staying at home. Families support single working mothers. Women feel they have control over their careers. There are ways to help. Employer responses. When people can't stay at home with their child, parent, or partner that needs care, they have to put them in the care of others. But what happens when the usual caregiver is unavailable? There's a growing need for backup care. So backup care is emergency care for dependent children or adults that an employee does not have to lose a day or longer of work. So should employers provide such care? Should employers have backup care available to their employees? Just making a child care center available to employees does not always reduce work-family conflict or their absenteeism. So what do they need to do? Parental or family leave. Companies must also have a culture of support, such as allowing employees to leave work to tend to family without penalty. They should allow them to take personal leave to take care of their family. Global research shows that the more generous parental leave policies are, the lower infant mortality rates are. So in countries that allow a lot of parental and family leave, infants are happier and healthier and live longer. Family-friendly practices are not yet common in the U.S. It has pretty much the worst parental leave policies of the developed world. It's terrible. So should companies offer parental leave even if the laws don't require it? So here's a quest for you. Look up the parental leave policies in several countries, including the U.S. Describe the similarities and differences. Which is the best? The worst? Just want you to compare the parental leave policies in the U.S. to other countries and see what different countries are doing. Juggling multiple roles. Household chores. Women still do a larger share of the housework, even if they are employed. Even in households where the physical work is shared, men and women do an equal amount of chores. Women do more of the mental work, keeping track of appointments, lists of what needs to be done, etc. Mental work is exhausting too, and women are still doing most of it. So here's a graph. This is just how much men and women do work around the house, and this shows you different rates in different countries, and you can see women still do many more chores around the house than men do in a lot of different countries. Unequal division of labor causes the most household conflicts and unhappiness. It's a big source of dissatisfaction in the relationship. Things are improving for women, however. There's a reduced amount of time spent on housework. Men have increased the amount of time they spend on housework, but most work is on the weekends, on tasks they agreed to do, and they're unrelated to women's employment status. So it has not done much to decrease the burden on women. Men tend to be satisfied if equal hours are spent on labor, especially if the amount of time needed is small. But women are most satisfied when men do chores traditionally belonging to women, like laundry and the dishes. There are ethnic differences. European American men help with chores less than Latino American or African American men. So some advice I've heard that is great is nobody sits until everyone can sit. Everyone should be helping with the household chores. So work-family conflict. According to your book, This is the feeling of being pulled in multiple directions by incompatible demands from the job and the family. Nearly 60% of married couples with children are dual earner households. Both need to work. How to divide chores and care for the children are important questions. Partners need to coordinate their work schedules and their child care. Most U.S. households with heterosexual couples still have a gender-segregated system. There are still traditional male and female chores. The highest conflict between work and family occur during the peak parenting years. So this is when at least 2 preschool children are at home. This is when it's the hardest to juggle family and work. Dual earner couples also have a harder time finding time for each other. They have a hard time maintaining their relationship. Burnout from demands of work and family are more likely for women than for men. This is worse in the U.S. because of our work culture. We work longer hours and we have fewer vacation days than other Western countries. Couples should negotiate chores and have joint activities to help reduce this. For example, a family dinner or a game night. So that's all I have for the work lecture. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments on these videos or post them on the Blackboard forum.